Everyone. My name is Aaron Hector. I'm a financial planner in Calgary, Alberta, and today I wanted to teach you a little bit about old age security and how clawback works. In particular, I'm going to spend some time talking about clawback planning for those with high levels of expected retirement income and how that is then going to perhaps have some pretty important implications into when you're looking to start your old age security. So here we go. First of all, I think it's just important to understand that old age security payments are adjusted on a quarterly basis. So this is what's happened here in 2024. So for the first quarter, you were receiving $713.34 for each month, January, February, and March. Then there was an inflationary adjustment that's based on the consumer price index and what's going on at the time. These payments will never go down, so if the formula dictates that there is no increase, or maybe based off the formula there would have been a decrease, the payment stays the same. So that's what you saw happen in April, May, and June. Then for the third and fourth quarters, you can see that there were inflationary adjustments to the payments. So then what you end up getting is an annual payment amount. And this is important because we don't know where the end of the clawback range is going to happen until such time that the fourth quarter payment amounts have been dictated. Now let me kind of show you what I mean here. So each year there's a threshold where clawback starts, and for the year 2024 that amount has been set at $90,997. So for every dollar that your net income when you file your tax return exceeds $90,997, you're going to lose 15 cents of your old age security by way of a clawback on your tax return. Then the math dictates that eventually, after 15 cents per dollar goes and goes and goes, eventually you've lost your full $8,618. Now the math on that would indicate that for the year 2024, we're going to have a clawback ceiling of $148,451. So really simply, if I was just to kind of show you how this works, is if we took the starting level of $90,997, and then we took the total payment amount and divided that by 15 cents, that means that we're going to have a range here so then you take the 90,997, you apply 15 cents per dollar and figure out how long it's going to take to fully erode $8,618. That math is $57,453. You add these two together and you end up with the upper ceiling of the clawback range. So that basically, another way of saying that would be, that's the point where most people who have started their old age security at 65 would lose everything. So you start losing it when your net income reaches $90,997, and you finish losing it at $148,450. So because of the way this works, if you're in March or May or June or any time in the year before the official announcement has happened for Q4, we don't know what this number is going to be. I mean, we can estimate it, we can get really, really close, but if you're partway through the year, you don't know these final numbers, therefore you don't know what this number is, and therefore you don't know what that number is. So we don't know with precision these numbers until Q4. Okay. So now we're at a point in the year where we do know everything. So this is all very, very accurate for the year 2024. So what you'll see here on this sheet is a couple things. First of all, I've shown you what the payment amount is for Q4. We have the annual payment. And then you'll note that these numbers are different here. So with old age security, if you don't start at age 65 and instead you decide to wait longer, you get paid for waiting or compensated for waiting. and you get paid 0.6% for each month after age 65 that you defer. So a whole year goes by. If you start at age 66 exactly, instead of getting the regular $8,618, your annual payment amount would be $9,239 because you started a year late, and therefore you get 7.2% larger payments. And that math continues all the way along until age 70. So if you defer out to age 70, you get 36% more. Now, instead of getting 8,618 for the year, you would have got 11,721, a 36% increase. So then you might ask yourself, well, in what situation would I be looking to postpone? Where are these break evens? So that's where I've shown, down here, this kind of layering chart. And basically what's happening down here is I'm showing you if you were to start at age 65 through 70, at that time, of course, we don't know when we're going to pass away, what our life expectancy might be. But some people might have a more accurate idea than others, I suppose, if they do have health issues or, family history of, parents passing away or, siblings perhaps who have passed away at younger ages. Maybe you can, make a bit of an estimate that's a bit more accurate than others. But what I'm showing here is all these potential ages that someone could pass away. And then the green would indicate if you died at any given age, what age would have been optimal for you to start your old age security. So if we walk this forward, if you die at age 66, obviously starting at age 65 makes the most sense because that's the only starting date where you would have received anything. If you die at age 67, had you started at 65, that means you would have got 2 years of payments, or about $17,000. Had you waited to age 66 to start, you would have only at that time received 1 year of payment. Okay? But that 1 year that you're receiving would have been $9,239, not $8,618. Okay? So that's why we're seeing these different numbers populating for 1 year. Now you can see if you have a short life expectancy, starting your old age security earlier makes a lot of sense because you'll have fewer and fewer years of zero payments. So even though your regular payment amount is lower than those who chose to start their old age security at, a later age, you'll have more years in total. And so shorter life expectancies would dictate an earlier starting point for old age security. However, you see that deferring to age 70 actually makes sense for anyone here who's kind of living, 87 and up is what this spreadsheet indicates. And to discount some of these numbers back, we've just assumed a discount rate which is equal to inflation. So we're using 2024 constant dollars on all of this using inflation as our discount rate, which I think does make sense because old age security is a fully inflation protected pension. So then this shows the kind of the numbers for someone who does not have exposure to the clawback. Now this is where I think this gets really quite interesting, is because as you start losing some of your old age security because your retirement income is high, you start to see that the benefits of deferral start really adding up here. So I'll just visually show you how this works. So let's say you do your retirement planning, you're working with a financial planner and they're able to map out, what your expected income is going to be throughout your retirement. And let's say that, on average, of course, year by year, it's going to bounce around. But if you kind of looked throughout the retirement plan and said, my retirement income, I'm expecting it to not be $75,000. I'm expecting, a regular year, my net income is going to be, let's call it $115,000. So if you were watching keenly there, you'll notice that the green lines have shifted. And the reason for that is because now that 115,000 is well within the clawback area. Okay, so you can see that we are now losing $3,600 of old age security because we're, roughly $24,000 into the clawback range, and then 24 times 0.15 is how you get to the 3,600. So then this, on the far right side, is how much old age security we would receive after taking into effect the clawback, or taking into account the clawback. And this gets really powerful. The higher and higher the amount of retirement income is, it shows you just how valuable deferral is. So let's just play around with this. Let's say it's $135,000 of expected retirement income. Now, starting at age 70 is optimal with a life expectancy as low as age 78. So the closer and closer you get to here, the more and more obvious it is that deferring old age security for high income retirees makes a lot of sense. Let's push this kind of to the extreme. So let's go to let's say 160,000. Okay. Now your regular income is at a point where if you started your OAS anytime between age 65 to 67, you'd have received nothing, because your retirement income is at a level that's high enough that you would have lost it all. So in that situation, you can clearly see, now the green is getting a little weird because I don't have data points in this part of the chart here, but you can see basically in those situations, you just want to defer to age 70, basically is kind of the obvious takeaway here. But I wanted to show you just how clear and obvious high levels of retirement income make the decision to defer basically a slam dunk. Okay, so I hope this was helpful and that you learned something about old age security. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments and I'll answer them as soon as I can. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can follow along as I post more educational personal finance videos such as this one. So thanks a lot and have a great day.